Guys, in the 30 years I spent as a competitive athlete, muscle and joint pain was part of daily life. If you know the feeling, give CryoFreeze Extra Strength Roll-On a try. I use it, and it's fantastic. When I'm sore, I just roll on Omax CryoFreeze Extra Strength, and it works its magic within minutes of application. CryoFreeze Extra Strength Roll-On is a non-prescription, triple-action, pain relief roll-on with 10 natural pain relief ingredients. It is specifically formulated to block pain receptors, reduce inflammation, and improve muscle and joint flexibility. The real secret is its two key ingredients, 500 milligrams of organic hemp CBD, known for its plant-based therapeutic effects, and 8.5% of menthol. That creates an icy hot effect to temporarily relieve pain. Throw it in your gym bag and take it on the go for emergency pain relief. Simply roll on where it hurts and ice out the pain with an Arctic Blast. Click the link below to get 20% off CryoFreeze Extra Strength Roll-On. Enter promo code CHAEL at checkout and you'll get 20% off your entire order today. Oh, the big bear, our friend Daniel Cormier, came out and he was doing an interview. And he was talking, he said that other people come up to him all the time and ask him about Adesanya, and then they, in their question about Adesanya, say to him, is he the greatest of all time? Daniel pushed back and said, hey, time out. Recency bias aside, Anderson Silva existed. Anderson Silva did these. Anderson Silva is the greatest of all time. He then went on to talk about, we always do that. We always pass up somebody with somebody new, and the only sports figure in history that hasn't happened to is Muhammad Ali. What in the bleep is Daniel Cormier talking about? There is nothing on that is accurate. There is no way that Daniel believes it, except Daniel fought Anderson Silva and would like to pad his own resume, so he wants to be the greatest of all time, is all I can think. Or he just didn't have time to think about the question. There is zero truth to it. Look, if we are at least down to Adesanya and Anderson, we've done a good and fair job as a community. Because those are the two, if we've at least got it down to them, I will tell you this. They fought. And it was a good fight. Adesanya won 2 rounds to 1. Everybody saw it the same as the judges. Adesanya won 1 and 3. Anderson won number 2. It was a valiant effort by Anderson. It was closer than any of us thought that it was going to be. It was a great fight. But that still answers the question, if you're being fair. If you want to be unfair and your side doesn't win, you come in and go, well, he wasn't in his prime, and a prime hit. Just shut up with all that. Just stop. So we have the answer to that question. I want to talk about more of the philosophy Daniel's talking about. I have a big problem with the fact that he's saying Muhammad Ali was the best. We say Muhammad Ali was the best because of what he did for the sport, not to mention social issues that supersede sport. But Muhammad Ali came out and told us he was the greatest. Now, that's called marketing, not reality. Why is Muhammad Ali known as the greatest? Because he called himself like it was a nickname. And, don't miss this part, he was the first. That's why that has stuck around. Now, he was beloved, but you could not use any level of logic, let alone functional reality, to support the claim that Muhammad Ali is the best boxer of all time. You can't do it. It would be impossible. It would be impossible. Because you've only got 2 hands. You've only got 4 shots, a jab, a cross, an uppercut, and a hook. There's nothing else that's legal within the sport. That's the same rules and the same stuff that's legal back in 1968 as is today in 2022. And the sport has not evolved. None. Zero. Can't. It can't evolve. You only have 2 weapons that between them can do 4 things. MMA is not that way. MMA is greatly evolving. You got some guys, and these guys are called fools, that like to say MMA is within its infancy. That is not true. As a matter of fact, we have good, strong data to prove that is not true at all. We could go back to 1993. We could talk about the evolution. We could talk about the huge steps and the huge gains. We could talk about the difference in training, and guys aren't just coming from a striking background and a grappling background and around 18, 19 years old, getting together, figure the whole thing out. They're now starting as kids in gyms that only do MMA. We could do all of that with preparation, but not with the skills of the sport. And that's what this question has to do with. Who is the greatest of all time? And it's nothing to do, or at least not solely to do, with resumes. If Anderson beat 15 guys, Adesanya does not have to beat 15 guys to take over the spot of greatest of all time. In fact, we don't actually have to wonder it. This is not Khabib versus George St. Pierre. They fought. right? If Khabib and George come out and fight, so we could finally figure out who the greatest of all time is and not have this discussion. Is the losing side's army instantly going to come in and say, well, but it wasn't? I mean, are you going to start doing that? Do we have no level of integrity within our own sport? This is not debatable. Anderson Silva, John Jones was another one. This is not a debatable. Izzy and Anderson fought. Now, you found the right two guys, and you saw very good competition, and you see that we're splitting hairs here. You got to see just how good Anderson was, because Anderson did it back in yesterday when the sport sucked in comparison to now. But he also just did that fight 4 years ago and that he kept up. It's a massive sign. It's a massive sign to success. It's a feather in Anderson's cap. Not to mention Anderson was a 3.5 to 1 underdog. He had an awesome performance. But bringing Muhammad Ali into it and acting like Muhammad Ali is the great, but that's a weird one for me. Muhammad Ali gets to know me as the greatest of all time because he used that as a moniker. Nobody ever came out first and said, Muhammad Ali, man, that's the greatest boxer of all time. That didn't happen. Muhammad Ali said it to the audience. The audience picked up on it. It's like Ken Shamrock, the world's most dangerous man. Like, doesn't mean he's actually the world's most dangerous man. That's his name. In fairness. And then everybody liked him on top of that, and everybody wanted to show respect to him after that. And after all, he was an artist. Even if it was a form of martial arts, it was still a form of expression, which Muhammad Ali did better than anybody, and we pay that respect back to him, and that is why Muhammad Ali would win the vote for the greatest of all time. If you got a bunch of boxing trainers together and try to see who they're emulating, their 9 and 10 and 11-year-old kids that are going to go on to be the future of boxing in the next decade, they are not watching film on Muhammad Ali. There'd be nothing to watch. He's got 2 hands. The sport has not evolved at all. And making that claim while being polite, for sure, that's a polite thing to say to a guy that ran a really great life. But the bigger story of Muhammad Ali, if you were around, if you happen to live at the time of it, was boxing as a whole was just about to be done. Nobody watched boxing. It was so dirty and corrupt that the government had to step in and regulate it. Government does not regulate sport anywhere in the world aside from communist societies, except in America. Boxing is so dirty, the government had to step in. Muhammad Ali didn't take the dirtiness out of it, but he brought attention back to it. He did it with his mouth. He did it with his skills. He did it by building fights. He understood things. He turned to the world of professional wrestling in terms of getting promotion, in terms of getting attention. He put a plan together. He invoked it. He's the single most important figure in the history of boxing. That is true. He's amongst the single most important figures in the history of sport. That is true. Greatest boxer of all time. That's to be nice. We're being polite. My daughter's middle name is Layla, named after Layla Ali. I train him and very good friends with and have helped promote Kevin Casey, whose father-in-law is Muhammad Ali. Right? I don't know Muhammad Ali, but boy, I know that family, and boy, I do like him. I would never despair. Greatest of all time. Shut up with that. The guy that says that is just about to say the greatest martial artist ever was Bruce Lee, right? It's one of those things. Come on. We can't agree that martial arts is in its infancy, according to some. We know for sure with empirical data known as video evidence that from 1993 till present time, the sport has grown leaps and bounds. Bruce passed away 20 years before the clock that we just set. From 1993 is the focus to 2022. Bruce died 2 decades before the very opening, and he's the greatest martial artist of all time. Do you understand how you're living in a special kind of stupid to talk like that?